Teammate Reflections. Monika Burzynska on Lia Thomas and women's sports. The uncomfortable truth about trans athletes in women's sports. Imagine being on a college swim team, surrounded by your closest friends and teammates, only to have a biological male join your ranks, shattering the sense of camaraderie and fairness that once defined your sport. This is the reality that former University of Pennsylvania swimmer Monika Burzynska faced when Lia Thomas, a trans athlete, joined the women's team in 2021. Burzynska, a native of Colonia, New Jersey, grew up in a liberal environment with prominent pro-LGBTQ sentiment. She attended the University of Pennsylvania, a deep blue city in Philadelphia, where she was surrounded by a very, how should I call it, deep LGBTQ presence on campus. The campus buildings and dormitories flew the trans flag, the LGBTQ flag, and even the U.S. flag, creating an atmosphere that encouraged students to explore their identities. However, when Thomas joined the women's team, Burzynska's views on the issue began to shift. She had previously known Thomas as Will, a member of the men's swimming team, and had only had short, passing conversations with him. But when Thomas began to transition and join the women's team, Burzynska's concerns grew. "I thought it must be terrible to feel like you're trapped in the wrong body," Burzynska said. "Just be so out of touch with who you really are." But as she was placed next to Thomas in the locker room, her views changed. She began to feel a sense of unease and discomfort, and eventually, she opted to change in the stalls or in the family locker across the hall. The coercion and silence. Burzynska's experience was not unique. Other female swimmers on the team, including Grace Estabrook, Margot Kaczorowski, and Ellen Holmquist, alleged that university officials pressured them not to speak out about their concerns about Thomas joining the team publicly. The lawsuit claimed that the administrators told the women that if they spoke publicly about their concerns, their reputation would be tainted with transphobia, and they would probably never be able to get a job. Burzynska herself was allegedly coerced into silence and submission by UPenn administrators. She recalls a futile conversation she had with her head coach, Mike Schnurr, when she confronted him with concerns about being on a team with Thomas. "We had this long meeting, almost 2 hours long," Burzynska said. "And he said, 'Listen, Monika, I understand all your concerns. They're all valid. I don't think any of them would deter you from continuing onto your senior year and having a successful senior year. I think the one thing that would deter you is that Lia is changing in your locker room and there's nothing you could do about it.'" Burzynska said she never took Schnurr up on that offer, believing that he wouldn't do anything about it anyway. She alleges that she witnessed her teammates having those futile conversations with Schnurr from a distance. The trauma and validation. Burzynska's experience has left her with trauma, but she is grateful that President Donald Trump's administration made it a priority to instill consequences on UPenn. The university has since agreed to apologize to all the female swimmers, rescind Thomas's program records, and adopt a new policy that applies strict biological definitions for males and females. "Not only for me, but for all the girls on the team, for all the girls in the swim world, and in the sport world," Burzynska said. "And I think this decision, it brought back, at least for me, a sense of fairness that had been lost. Women's records belong to women, and that protecting the integrity of women's sports still matters." The controversy and the future. The issue of trans athletes in women's sports is a contentious one, with many arguing that it is a matter of fairness and equality. But for Burzynska and many others, it is about the integrity of women's sports and the rights of female athletes. As the debate continues, it is essential to listen to the experiences of athletes like Burzynska who have been directly affected by this issue. Their stories are a reminder that the consequences of this controversy are real and that the rights of female athletes must be protected.